1960, and a new flag flies over State House, the personal standard of the first Nigerian Governor-General of Nigeria, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who has succeeded Sir James Robertson. Sir James had served Nigeria well. Throughout his stay in the Federation, he had the unfailing help and encouragement of his wife. On the eve of their departure, he said,
"We've had a very happy 5.5 years in Nigeria. We've been here in most historic times, and one of the nicest parts of it all, I think, is that the transition from colonial status to the independence of a sovereign state has happened also very smoothly and happily. When one reads in the newspapers about other countries, one is inclined to be really quite proud to have been in Nigeria at this time. Of course, the main reason for the success has been the common sense and good sense of the Nigerian leaders and the ministers. But we hope that we also have perhaps contributed something to it, and the Nigerian leaders themselves have been very, very kind to us and have obviously sincerely meant what they said, that we have helped towards the fruition of their dreams. Only yesterday we were given this most beautiful gold flower bowl by the Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers on behalf of the people of the Federation of Nigeria. And it seems to me that they couldn't have been kinder to us than they have been. Now we're going off on Tuesday on the mail boat, and we'll be getting back to England in about a fortnight's time. This will be the conclusion of some 38 years of service overseas for me, and 34 years for my wife.
No, 32 only.
32 for my wife. So we really have had quite a long spell abroad.
On the day before they left, the Federal Palace Hotel was a blaze of light for the farewell banquet given by the government. Sir James and Lady Robertson chatted with many of the friends they had made during the years of service in Nigeria. This was the last official tribute to the man who had been head of state during the period of the negotiations for independence and the final handing over of power. His life had been spent in the British colonial service, and his wisdom and his easy diplomacy had made it possible to enjoy the most friendly relationships with government and people alike. With the coming of self-government and Commonwealth status, his work was done. At this dinner, the Prime Minister, Alhaji Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, put into words the feelings of everybody in Nigeria.
Your Excellencies, my Lord Chief Justice, Your Graces, Honorable Premiers, ladies and gentlemen, this is a sad occasion for me when I rise to propose the toast of my friends Sir James and Lady Robertson, who will be leaving Nigeria tomorrow for the United Kingdom on retirement. Now I'm speaking to you tonight with mingled joy and sorrow. I'm sorry that they are going. I'm sorry that I'm missing the advice and the wisdom of a friend. You are guiding us aright in the Council of Ministers, and your untiring effort to go around and see the people and talk to them have all contributed to the goodwill which Nigeria has from the world. And we thank you very, very much indeed for this very important contribution. Now you have created better understanding between we in the governments of Nigeria and the government of the United Kingdom. you have put into us the idea of playing a game well.
Next morning, the man who had always played the game well left State House on his way home, and the people of Lagos were there to wish him and his wife a safe and pleasant journey. Before going aboard Francis, he said goodbye and thank you to his personal houseboy. And then the launch left to cross the water to Apapa. At Apapa, the large crowd waited expectantly. These were exciting days for Lagos, days which would have a bearing on the future of the whole country. Prime Minister and the Federal Minister of Transport waited, ready to be the first to welcome Sir James and Lady Robertson ashore. The 15th of November, 1960, marked the beginning of one of the biggest changes Nigeria had ever known, a change which seemed to crystallize the already won independence of the Federation. James will go down in history as the first Governor-General of independent Nigeria. His work for the country had earned the sincere appreciation of government and people alike. While this day opened a new and hopeful page in the annals of Africa, it was also an occasion of sadness. For parting from old friends is always sad, however joyful the circumstances. As the crowds watched, His Excellency inspected the servicemen of Nigeria for the last time as their Commander-in-Chief. The Guard of Honor was mounted by detachments of the Army, the Navy, and the Police. The inspection over, His Excellency and the Prime Minister were escorted to the Atlantic Terminal, where the final farewells were to be said. The terminal was being used for the normal embarkation of passengers, and it was crowded as the party made their way upstairs to the VIP waiting room. Oriole awaited her important passengers, and as the gangway was lifted and the liner moved slowly from the quay, an era was ending. To Sir James, perhaps more than any other man, had fallen the task of guiding Nigeria slowly yet surely towards independence. His work was finished. As a memorial to his labors, he saw Nigeria as she is today, free, strong and united, a member of the Commonwealth and a powerful and respected voice in African and world affairs. Now Oriole went by the house that had been their home for many happy years. And as they passed the yacht club, Nigeria said goodbye and thank you with a tribute of a Hausa farewell. Now it is the 16th of November, Dr. Azikiwe's 56th birthday and the day of his installation as Governor-General of Nigeria and Commander-in-Chief of her armed forces. Chief Awolowo is among the many who have come from all parts of the Federation to honor Zeke on this day of days. There's Alhaji Sir Amadou Bello, Sardauna of Sokoto. Premiers, federal ministers and high government officials come to take their places in the specially constructed pavilion. At each arrival, a thrill stirs the crowd, for these are the men who now control the destiny of Nigeria. There is, of course, a particular welcome for Al-Hajis Abubakar, to whom, in his office as Prime Minister, fell the responsibility of recommending to Her Majesty the Queen the appointment of Dr. Azikiwe. The next to arrive is Adetokunbo Ademola, Lord Chief Justice of the Federation, who will administer the oath of allegiance. And as the cries of "Zik, Zik" ring around Tafawa Balewa Square, the man himself arrives. At the steps of the pavilion stand the Prime Minister and the Lord Chief Justice, symbolizing the people and the law, on what is surely one of the most important occasions in the history of the country. Dr. Azikiwe, the man who is in the forefront of Nigeria's march to independence, has seen his dreams come true. Now he is to receive a just and perhaps once unexpected reward for his labors. The vast crowds which fill the stands are hushed. The ceremony is about to begin, and the Chief Registrar of the Federal Supreme Court reads the commission under the Royal Sign, Manual and Signet, to which Her Majesty's signature is subscribed.
We do by this our commission under our sign, manual and signet, appoint you, the said Nnamdi Azikiwe, to be during our pleasure our Governor General and Commander-in-Chief of the Federation of Nigeria, with all the powers, rights, privileges appertaining.
The oath of allegiance follows.
I, Nnamdi Azikiwe, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, according to law. So help me God. I, Nnamdi Azikiwe, do swear that I will well and truly serve Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, her heirs and successors, in the office of Governor General of the Federation of Nigeria. So help me God.
By this simple ceremony, Dr. Azikiwe takes his place as the honored successor of the many distinguished men who have held this high office. He is now His Excellency the Governor General. But to the people of Nigeria, he will always be Zik, the man who fought for freedom, the man who never deviated from the goal he had set himself, the peaceful achievement of independence. He moves to the steps of the pavilion to see his own personal standard broken for the first time. Next, he is invited to inspect units of the armed forces and the Nigeria police units, of which he is now Commander-in-Chief. It is on this day, too, that he hears of yet another honor, his appointment to the Privy Council by Her Majesty the Queen. inspection over, he returns to the dais to deliver his inaugural address. He calls it Respect for Human Dignity, and in it are revealed all the compassion, all the dogged resolution which have made him the popular symbol of Nigeria's new status in the world. It is delivered with all the force of great oratory, in the manner which everybody expects of him.
It is with humility, mingled with joy, that I thank this grand concourse of patriots and friends of Nigeria for congregating here today on the occasion of my inauguration as the first African Governor General and Commander-in-Chief of the Federation of Nigeria. I was appointed to this post of high honor by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II on the advice of the Prime Minister of Nigeria to succeed my predecessor in office, that accomplished colonial administrator, Sir James Robertson, GCMG, GCVO, KBE. This mighty audience comprises of eminent men and women drawn from all the regions of Nigeria and different parts of Africa, the United Kingdom, and the United States of America. We have in this august assemblage representatives of heads of states and governments, paramount rulers and chieftains, statesmen and politicians, nationalists and freedom fighters, university administrators and professors, trades union leaders and ex-servicemen, local government heads and civil servants, molders of public opinion, in addition to professional men and women, in different walks of life, including a select group of invitees who represent various organizations which are interested in Africa and in the orderly progress of our country towards national autonomy. Whilst it is a fact that the Commonwealth is a voluntary association which is loose, flexible, and adaptable, and its members value it for its very variety and multiplicity of outlook, its member governments sometimes acting in unison, sometimes separately, but always freely exchanging views and information, and always adding something to a common pool of mutual understanding. Nevertheless, Nigerians cannot be expected to be supine when such a basic human right as respect for human dignity is violated with impunity in any part of the Commonwealth or in any part of the world. The challenge of Nigeria as a free state in 20th century Africa is the need to revive the stature of man in Africa and restore the dignity of man in the world. Nigerians believe passionately in the fundamental human rights. We regard all races of the human family as equal. Under no circumstance shall we accept the idea that the black race is inferior to any other race. I call upon Alhaji Amadu Bello, the Sarana of Sokoto, to join us in this Herculean task of national reconstruction. I exhort Chief Obafemi Awolowo to associate with us, in this great adventure of restoring the dignity of man in the world. There are many leaders who can give active support and assistance to a nation at its supreme hour of need. Chief Samuel Ladoke Akintola, Dr. Michael Ihanukara Okpara, and Samuel Grace Ikoku, and then Chief Dennis Chukwude Osarebe, Malam Aminu Kanu, Malam Ibrahim Imam, and J.S. Taka of northern Nigeria, and countless others. I appeal to all our leaders, far and near, to forget the wounds which were inflicted in cause of our internecine altercations. The love of our country should outweigh the love of our petty selves. The enjoyment of individual freedom under the law should mean more to us than our self-centered party programs and manifestos. Common dangers and common enemies alert us on the need for common security. The British came here in 1851, and found us hopelessly divided in tribal compartments. When Britain transferred power to us on 1st October 1960, we were no longer an expression of geography, but a reality of history. During all our years of political vassalage, we became socially and economically integrated. We have also developed an identity of interest, and we have crystallized common nationality. The process of political integration reached its zenith at midnight on 30th September 1960, when we lastly sang our national anthem and our national flag was hoisted aloft to signal the birth of a new nation. Come and join Abubakar with me, Sadauna, Awolowo, Akitola, Osarebe, Okpara, Ikoku, Aminu Kano, Ibrahim Imam, and Taka. Let us bind the nation's wound and let us heal the breaches of the past, so that in forging our nation, there shall emerge on this continent a hate-free, fear-free, and greed-free people who shall be in the vanguard of a world task force whose assignment is not only to revive the stature of man in Africa, but to restore the dignity of man in the world. The independence of Nigeria was doggedly fought and dearly won. During our protracted battles, some of our heroes and heroines fell by the wayside. Some went the way of all flesh. Some paid with their lives. Some were incarcerated. Some lost their jobs. Some sacrificed their fortunes. Some were ostracized, while some were victimized and made to suffer indignity because they dared to demand freedom for Nigeria in our lifetime. Therefore, we must jealously guard our freedom with our lives if need be. I have made up my mind to do all that lies in my power, so that our newly won freedom shall endure. All that remains for us to do now is for our leaders and their followers to demonstrate that spiritual resilience which had enabled us to survive the onslaught of the past. With faith in the eventual success of our adventure in the Committee of Nations, we can look forward to the morrow with hope and charity for our fellow man, knowing that the task has been well done and that prospects of a future are bright.
The inaugural speech had made a deep impression on all who heard it by its simple, straightforward appeal. The occasion ends with a march past by the Army, the Navy, and the police. Next day, the ceremonies at Tafawa Balewa Square were to be reported in great detail by the world's press. For the second time in less than 2 months, Nigeria is in the news. And this time, all the attention is focused on the Queen's personal representative in the Federation, His Excellency, the Governor-General. That same evening, there is a garden party at State House. Among those present are many of the visitors from overseas who have come to be with their Nigerian friends at this time of rejoicing. Dr. Azikiwe moves among his guests, giving each a personal welcome and accepting their congratulations on his appointment. As the coolness of the evening comes to Lagos, it is a time for happiness and relaxation, for meeting old friends and making new ones, and perhaps for thinking over the joyous events of this memorable day and of the implications it holds for the future. Wednesday, the 16th of November, 1960, is nearly over. This day and October the 1st are certainly the two most significant dates in the history of Nigeria's progress. For the first time, she has a Nigerian Governor-General, and the man who led the country to independence now guides her destiny in the first formative years. Over now to Ibadan. And at University College, the congregation is assembling to welcome Dr. Azikiwe as he fulfills his first public engagement as head of state. The occasion is Founders' Day, and it is of particular significance because, as the principal is to say later, it is the first to be celebrated in an independent Nigeria, and in which the visitor, the chairman, the principal, and the registrar of the college are all Nigerians. His Excellency wears academic robes. He has not worn them since leaving America 28 years ago. Dr. Kenneth D.K., the principal, gives the news that the college will become an independent university in October 1962, and in introducing His Excellency, refers to him as a lover of learning, drawing attention to his work as inspirer and founder of the sister university at Nsukka. Dr. Azikiwe replies.
Principal, Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, my Lord, ladies and gentlemen, may I take this opportunity also to express my gratitude to both your good self, Mr. Principal and Mr. Chairman, for the kind sentiments expressed by you in connection with our new appointment as the Governor General and Commander-in-Chief of the Federation of Nigeria. My wife and I feel very puny to be worthy of the kind words said by you, but we shall try our level best to live up to expectation in the service of our country and of humanity.
It is now the evening of the same day, and at the King George V Stadium in Lagos, there is an amateur boxing contest in honor of the new Governor General. His Excellency was once an accomplished exponent of the sport, having been welterweight champion of Storer College, West Virginia, from 1925 to 1927. He is now a qualified referee. The night's contests are a feast of entertainment for him, for he thoroughly enjoys the finer points of top-class amateurs. He is, of course, Vice Chairman of the Nigeria Boxing Board of Control, an office he has held since 1949. In all, there are 9 bouts in the program, but this one, with all the speed of the light heavyweight class, is probably the best. Sportsmanship is the order of the night, for this is an occasion for rejoicing, and no titles are at stake. Hogan Kid Bassey is at the ringside, and he, like all the huge crowd, thoroughly enjoys himself. His Excellency comes into the ring afterwards to demonstrate that he's not lost any of his old skill.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, you have seen how we have been working hard to inculcate in our youth the attitude of sportsmanship. In the last few years, Nigeria has been encouraging amateurism in sport, and from the rank of its Simon-Piers, we have been able to produce men who cross the Atlantic in order to attain world standards. These young men who have exhibited their physical prowess before you represent the rank and file from whom some of our greatest boxers have risen. Those of you from the United States and from Europe know that it's from this rank and file that Nigeria was able to produce the first and only Nigerian featherweight.
Hogan Bassett. Hogan T. Bassett.
Back now to the Federal Palace Hotel and another state occasion, the luncheon in honor of His Excellency. The Sadowner of Sokoto, Premier of the North, is among the early arrivals. The guests include people from many lands, whom the government delight to entertain, and who, for their part, wish to pay a sincere tribute to Dr. Azikiwe. Only 2 days remain of the official program of celebrations, which will conclude with a service of thanksgiving on the Sunday. In the meantime, everyone makes merry. Next to arrive is His Excellency the Governor General and Mrs. Azikiwe, who are met by the Prime Minister. When the meal is over, the Prime Minister rises to propose a toast in which everyone in Nigeria joins.
Happiness and successful tenure of office of our new Governor General and Mrs. Azikiwe.
The last day of the celebration and the international soccer match at the National Stadium at Surulere. His Excellency's arrival is the signal for a spontaneous roar of acclamation. The Governor General was once co-captain of the Lincoln University side. Today, he is to see his own country play a team from Egypt. All his life, sport has been an abiding passion of the Governor General, and his services to the Olympic Committee and the British Empire and Commonwealth Games Association are well known. Now he meets the teams. Egypt, the visitors first. And now, Nigeria. The bands of Nigeria Police and the Army, which had entertained the waiting crowds, march off, and the great moment when His Excellency will kick off approaches. 30,000 people roar themselves hoarse as the game begins. And what a game it turns out to be, with Nigeria attacking right from the start. Egypt concentrating their attack from the wings, trying to draw the home defense, but without success. Nigeria keeping them under pressure all the time. His Excellency enjoys every minute of it, reliving his own games in the excitement of watching his country give battle. In this, he is at one with a vast crowd, for rarely can they have seen such exciting football as this Celebration International provides. Nigeria win the game by 2 goals to 1, both in the first half. Here's Dejo Fayemi scoring. What an end to a magnificent game. The last official occasion of this period of rejoicing is the State Ball, again at the Federal Palace Hotel. Here is to be seen all the pageantry and glamour associated with royalty and their representatives overseas. Representatives of the Commonwealth are there, and the Prime Minister attends. The occasion reminds many of the state ball given in honor of Princess Alexandra only a month before. She too represented Her Majesty, as does His Excellency tonight. In the ballroom, the people of Nigeria and their friends dance and enjoy themselves, making the most of this, the last big function. His Excellency sits and watches the fun. He and his wife watch Edric Connor, the famous singer, and the music and rhythm of high life make everybody gay and carefree. Then His Excellency takes the floor himself, dancing with his wife, joining with his people in their hour of celebration. On Sunday, the people of Nigeria give thanks to God for His many blessings to the land and its people. The service of thanksgiving is held in the Cathedral Church of Christ in Lagos, and large crowds assemble to see the congregation arrive. Ministers, visitors, officials all attend the simple service, which concludes the program of celebrations in a mood of solemn rededication and gratitude to Almighty God. Before Nigeria lies a heavy responsibility, a responsibility shared by people and leaders alike. The task of maintaining the country in the forefront of the great nations, both economically and politically, and guiding it along the ways of peace and happiness. At 11 o'clock, His Excellency arrives, joining his people in worship. The man who had risen from humble beginnings to the highest position in the Federation could look back on the events of the week and feel that all his ambitions had been fulfilled. His dreams had come true, and above all, his prayers had found an answer. Dr. Azikiwe is a man of all three regions. He was born in Zungaru in the north, educated in the east, and much of his work was done in the west. Nothing remains of his birthplace, where his family, his father was a clerk in the civil service, settled when they left their native Onitsha. Later they were to return, and young Nnamdi started his education at the CMS school. His old teachers remember him. It was the start of a road of learning that was to lead him through the universities of America and culminate in the fulfillment of a life's ambition, the establishment of the University of Nigeria at Nsukka. It was he who planned it, in a determination that more of the young people of Nigeria should no longer have to go outside the country in search of knowledge. It stands as one of the greatest achievements in a life of achievement, a memorial to his quest for education in order that he might serve his country better. Now he is our Excellency, the head of state and acknowledged leader of the nation.
The ceremonies in connection with this great occasion have been most successful. We have friends from different parts of the world, and heads of states and heads of governments have sent their personal representatives. And we're all very happy at this great occasion in the history of Africa and of the Commonwealth. I am satisfied that the present arrangements made by those of us who may be rightly described as the makers of contemporary Nigeria have ushered freedom into our country and preserved our unity as a nation. I am happy that history has assigned to me an important part to play in order that this unity may have lasting effects and bring home to our people the need to maintain it religiously. If I am asked whether I'm happy because Nigeria is free and the Nigerian government appears to be stable and the people of Nigeria are apparently satisfied that the price of freedom and the price our leaders paid for it were worth the sacrifice, I would answer in the affirmative. It is true that other compatriots and I had to scale the craggy heights as we trekked the stony Golgotha of human life. It is true that during this struggle, whose climax was reached after a greater part of a quarter of a century, our lot was one of vicissitudes and disappointments. Nevertheless, I am grateful to God that I did not swerve from our objective in spite of mutilation of facts, amorphous interpretation, and deliberate perversion of my actual role. All that remains to be done now is for our leaders and their followers to demonstrate that spiritual resilience which had enabled us to survive the onslaught of the past. With faith in the eventual success of our adventure in the Committee of Nations, we can look forward to the morrow with hope and charity for our fellow man, knowing that the task has been well done and that prospects of the future are bright. In the words of a distinguished American poet, Langston Hughes, let us youthfully march together to a greater tomorrow for Nigeria in unity with faith. We have tomorrow bright before us like a flame. Yesterday, a night gone thing, a sundown name. And dawn today, broad arch above the road we came, we march